Hello, fellow car lovers. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show. I'm Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
We are both here because we would love to share information with you on ways to make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable for less money and less hassle. And our favorite method of doing that is
Calling in on the
by
telephone.
the telephone, just like Michelle, who is holding, and we're going to be with her in just a second, is doing now, because we look forward to answering her automotive question. You can do that 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time on any Saturday morning that you choose. And again, 706-863-5800. John Ryan, you ready to fire it up?
Yeah, let's see.
Here we go.
You got the keys still?
I got the key. Here. Show is fired up. We're ready to go there. We also want to mention that if you want to find a good, dependable automotive repair facility almost anywhere in our beautiful country, you just go to NapaAutoCare.com. They are true professionals, great group of people, and they have helped me many times by me being able to send customers that are in different places that I may not know somebody. I'm able to give them a website, and
we're lucky enough to be in that same group.
We are in the same group, and we get referred many times too, and
we
appreciate that. John Ryan, are we ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, Aaron, let's go to Michelle.
Hello, Michelle, and we do appreciate you calling the C&C Auto Show.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking my call, and I'm not sure if you can help me, but hopefully you can give me a try.
We will try our very best. That is a promise.
All right. Well, my call is sort of related to one of the previous calls. The guy had a problem with his tensioner. He said something about the oil pump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my car, when I started up, first of all, it's a 2003 Ford Escape. It has over 150,000 miles on it. No major work has been done to the engine. And when I first started up in the morning, it makes a sound, and it's hard for me to imitate it, but it's between a gurgling vibration or it's not a knock or a ping,
mm-hmm.
or something rattling.
Can you give her some examples?
Well, I'm trying to do that because here's one thing that I'm thinking about. Just pop it in my head. Just this week, we had a Ford Escape in the shop with a noise similar to that, and it's almost more of a feel that you can feel kind of almost vibrating through the car,
resonating through the vehicle,
than it is a sound. Is that possible, Michelle?
No, I can hear it. I don't feel like the car shudder or anything, but that's what it sounds like. It sounds like the car is shuddering.
But but you don't feel it. You more can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, you messed up my whole presentation here, Michelle. I was ready. I had something in mind, and now it's gone.
I'm sorry. But, I had taken it to when I came from, and the other thing it does, as I drive it, it gets less and less and less, and less intensity and less with frequency. And so one afternoon when I got off from work, right next door to where I work was a dealer. And I stopped in and asked if there was a tech who could listen to it. And I'm not gender racist or anything like that, but this sweet little lady came out and she sat inside with me, and she could hear it, popped the hood, looked at it, and she said it was my tensioner. And, that if it continues, it'll shred my belt and all of this kind of stuff, and I needed to get looked at. Well, I already had an appointment to get my oil changed and all of that stuff the next day. So, and I asked them to look at it and told them what the person had said. They didn't. And they told me they didn't hear anything. They didn't see anything. So I asked the tech to sit inside the car with me, and we waited some minutes, and it did happen. It wasn't as loud, but he couldn't hear it. And I'm sitting there with the windows up, so there's no outside noise. And when it happens, okay, did you hear that? No. And it's like, okay, your young ears may not be as experienced. Let's get some old ears. And the guy that did the oil change, he came out and popped the hood, and it took a while, and it made the sound, but it was almost quiet, and he couldn't hear it. But he said, well, if you want us to change out the tensioner, we will. But where I pointed to where she had pointed, he's like, no, that's not the tensioner. That's the pulley for your condenser.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know, and
Michelle,
it's like
I can tell you what kind of just running through my mind that's very intermittent, not necessarily intermittent, but the noise kind of comes and goes with temperature. It seems that it does it better or a lot more when it's cold, correct?
right first thing in the morning, but it could be like maybe like 80.
Right.
70, 80 degrees is when I first crank it up.
Yeah, like when the vehicle is cold, and then as you drive it, it starts to fade away to where it's very faint.
Yeah.
The things that pop into my mind on especially temperature, and Aaron, I think you'll agree with this, is stuff with the exhaust. Like for instance, a heat shield on one of the catalytic converters. They're held on by small tack welds. And what we see a lot of the times is the tack weld, of course, it being very small, will break, or some vehicles have rust on them to where it'll rust out and cause just the faintest little vibration noise. And what happens is when that exhaust system is cold, not necessarily the ambient temperature is cold, but the vehicle's, engine is cold. When you crank it up, it'll just vibrate and you hear like a noise, like a rattly type noise. And then as that exhaust system warms up, the metal expands and kind of seals that crack back off. And then, of course, the noise kind of tapers away. So I'm wondering if it's not something in the exhaust system.
Michelle, did any of these people, when they were listening to this noise, did they use any type of listening devices, either electronic or stethoscope type deal, or anything at all like that?
Just our little human ears.
I'm gonna have to pour out all our secrets here, Michelle, because I don't have any choice. Because I have to. The show is important to let people know about their car. And I'm just giving you a wild example. Customer come in, this is absolutely true story. This was just yesterday. Customer pulled in. She was hearing a noise. I first listened to it. I didn't hear anything on what she was talking about because she had said a noise, and I just had a loud noise pictured. Well, as she started pointing it out, it was a very slight noise, like a woo, woo. Sound like a hoot owl. It did, like a hoot owl. It did, and Halloween is close by. All right, so I started hearing this noise, and I said, wow, that is, and as soon as I tuned into it, boom, it was really, I could hear it. I immediately started getting listening devices. Sometimes I use the stethoscope. Sometimes I use an electronic. I said that wrong, sorry. No, sometimes I use an electronic ears. But I was able to pinpoint this, and it was a pulley. It was a belt pulley. And it was making a loud noise. I could hear it really good. You need to have someone spend the time on this vehicle, whether they charge you or don't charge you. Then in that particular case, I was able to do it quick. Wasn't any charge. But able to pinpoint it and say, I know this is what's making that noise, and this is it. And even though it's very slight, with a listening device, they'll be able to hear it very well. I would recommend having a good diagnostic test. You may have a pulley, you may have a tensioner, but whichever one it is, I'd recommend having that. That part would probably need to be replaced, and that would solve your problem.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Now, what time do y'all open in the morning? So just in case.
Oh, we're
like
7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday.
Okie dokie.
Okay. Michelle,
thank
great
you so
call.
Much. I appreciate it.
Well, we thank you very much. We appreciate it also. And Michelle did a great job of explaining the type problem and give a little history about her car. And so things like that's very helpful to service advisors and people working on the car.
Yep.
And we do need to take a real quick break. When we return, we'll be going to more phone calls. We will also be talking about our theme, which is going to be selling your car.
And going straight to Mike.
And then we'll be going to Mike. We'll be right back just after these messages.
Let's head back down to the Car Care studio with Aaron Clements and John Ryan Mooney.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the C&C Auto Shows, and always have your maintenance records ready. If you plan to sell a vehicle, have those maintenance records sitting out along with the Carfax that we had talked about previously. And that way, when the person or the prospective buyer is looking at the vehicle, you'll be able to show the Carfax, the maintenance records, and of course, I always recommend walking around and pointing out any defects that you have. John Ryan, who will we be talking to next?
Aaron, let's go straight to Mike.
Hello, Mike, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What could we help with?
Good morning. I have an old 64 Chevy Impala.
Mm-hmm.
It's a manual fuel pump.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't get it cranked right now. I probably haven't driven it 250 miles in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And don't crank it up as often as I should. I don't feel like it's getting fuel. I don't really know how to test and see if I got a fuel pump issue or a carburetor issue or that sort of thing.
Well, I think the best thing that you could do is sell it to me. And then
We can talk about that.
I'll take care of all that. Cars like that are getting very difficult to find now.
They are, yeah.
It is. It's so many people looking for older model vehicles, and especially like the '64 Impala. And I got to go in and ask you:
Yeah,
is this a 2-door or
77,000 miles
4-door?
on it. It's been in the family for 40 years. So
Oh,
a little
wow.
bit about it.
Is this one a 2-door or 4-door?
2-door hardtop.
Oh, wow. Yeah, beautiful. And one last thing, what color is it so I can kind of picture everything?
It's copper with
Copper.
a white top.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's my favorite color.
Okay, so you want to find out if the fuel pump is working, or did you say you were not pumping any fuel up to the vehicle?
Yeah, I want to find out if the fuel pump is working.
Okay. Well, first, I would start from the very beginning. Now, when's the last time this vehicle has run?
A couple months ago.
Okay, so one of the things that I always like to make sure, if one sits up a long period of time, of course, the fuel goes bad inside the gas tank and it gets all gummy, almost like I can't describe the smell. It's just
horrible.
Yeah,
Like
terrible
paint.
I'm
smell.
familiar with it.
Yeah, like paint.
Yeah.
I put a new gas tank on it 8 years ago.
Oh, okay, good. All right, now, and I'm assuming that you probably replaced that little rubber line that goes from the gas tank.
Yes.
Okay, because many times people overlook that, and it pulls air instead of fuel, and it causes the fuel pump to lose its prime. Okay, the next step you want to do is make sure that you're getting fuel up to the fuel pump, and of course that's a matter of disconnecting the line that goes to the fuel pump, make sure fuel drains out.
That's right.
Then put it back on, and then if you have fuel going to the fuel pump and you spin the engine over with the line loose,
The outline.
and the outline, have a hose running
From the
from it
pump,
going
yeah.
into a jar of some kind. Now, in doing this, I'm the safety person, so I always let you know, always keep a fire extinguisher nearby whenever you're working on your car. Don't use the old type trouble lights that people used to use with the light bulb in there, because they will, if you drop them, they cause an explosion if they're near gas. So have a fluorescent encased light that you're using to work with. Run it into a jar, get somebody to spin it over. Keep your hands away from anything moving. Make sure it pumps fuel into that. If it does, you're good. If it don't, you got one or two things wrong. Either it is not pumping the little rod that is moving that's making the fuel pump work,
Right.
or the fuel pump is bad.
Okay. Is there any advantage, and is it even possible to change, or would it be a bad idea to change the fuel pump out from a manual pump to an electric pump?
Not if you're trying to keep the car original.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, now if you were modifying the vehicle in some certain way to make it something different
Right.
and kind of high performance, I would. But I definitely wouldn't, and there wouldn't be any advantage. I mean, a manual fuel pump, they do very, very well, and it'll last
Sure.
you a long, long, long time.
And
If you
another thing also with
it
the electric pump, a lot of times you have to put a fuel pressure regulator on them
Mm-hmm.
because an electric
Okay.
pump, can sometimes overpower the float in the carburetor.
you only want about 4 psi, 4 or
Yeah, you
5
just need a little
psi coming out
positive
of the
pressure.
fuel pump, and of course the electric fuel pump put out much more than that, so you're
Much
going to have
more.
to throttle it way back.
I think
Or-
even the regular inline fuel pumps are like 7 to 13, so you have to dial those back, of course.
Yeah, so you want to definitely consider that when you're doing it. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with, do you want to keep the vehicle original, or do you want to modify it a lot? But I wouldn't see any advantage of moving to an electric pump, because you can make that one work very well and make it last a long, long time.
Okay.
Hey,
Sounds
Mike, I
good.
think you're going to have to send us a picture of that car to the C&C Auto Show email.
Yeah, or put it on our Facebook page, one of the two.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. And as soon as I get it cleaned up, it's been sitting in the garage all summer.
Well, Aaron
A
will
little
do
too
that
hot
too.
to dry without air conditioning.
Sounds great. Well, we really appreciate the call, and great question also.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. John Ryan, we need to throw out the Tech Tip quiz.
All right, let's hear it.
And the person who calls in gives us an answer to this Tech Tip quiz will become one of the few, one of the proud. They will be a Tech Tip quiz winner, and they'll receive, of course, a bag of goodies, including like C&C Auto Show coffee cup, hats, and also I answered the Tech Tip quiz golf shirt, which is huge. I mean, it is absolutely huge. Okay, the question to this one is, it's more of a riddle.
Okay.
Than anything else. I hang around in every respectable automotive shop. I am blue and white, and I let you know that I can do everything right.
Ah.
And that's a good riddle. So if someone has to answer to
Say it one more time.
All right. So one more time.
Yep. Say it
All right.
slower.
Okay, here we go. I hang around in every respectable automotive shop. I am blue and white, and I let you know that I can do everything right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's real good. Okay, and the number to call, 706-863-5800. And I do want to mention one more tip concerning the part having to do with the selling your vehicle.
Yeah.
And you want to be very careful when you're receiving the payment. How do you prefer to receive the payment when you're doing that?
Oh, if I was selling like a used car?
Yeah.
Cash is king.
Exactly. Cash.
Yeah.
Many times.
Unless, say, it was something you owed on, of course, you'd want to meet at the bank and, do the transaction there.
Exactly. Do the transaction there. But cashier checks and personal checks, they can be printed even on a cheap printer now.
Yeah.
So you want to be real careful with that. Okay, it is time to take a break. And when we return, we'll be going to a lot of wonderful phone calls. And we'll be talking more about selling your vehicle.
Yep.
We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the C&C Auto Show. And think about what you're telling people when writing your ad if you're selling your vehicle. Little words can convey a lot. Besides the price, your ad should also include the year, make, model, and trim level of the car you're selling, along with the mileage, the color, condition. You want them to paint a mental picture of that vehicle. John Ryan, it is time to go to the calls, and who will we go to next?
And it looks like we're going to Lulu.
Perfect. Lulu, welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling, and what can we help with?
I think I know the answer to your question.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Woo.
You okay?
All right, here we go. All right.
Is it the
Hold on, Lulu.
certification?
We have to put you on stage first. All right, here we go. Lulu, you are on stage, and we are ready for you. And what is the answer to the Tech Tip quiz?
Is it the ASC professional certification sheet that hangs on the wall?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, Lulu, this is huge.
Am I wrong?
No, you are absolutely right. I mean, and this
All
is
right.
Yeah, this is really huge. It is the ASE, actually the certification or blue seal of excellence that is hanging on the wall, and that is that really those certifications show that shop is really serious about automotive repair.
Yep.
The technicians there have taken the time to go in, take tests, study, and actually they can be certified in different areas. Some may be certified in brakes, some front end suspension,
heavy duty parts, service.
Exactly. And now, just like you're saying, there's even certifications for service advisors and parts personnel. It's a great certification to have. And if you're looking for a good professional automotive repair facility, I think it's a good idea to know whether the technicians are certified or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Lulu, you are a winner. And if you will stay on the line, they will get all your information, and you will be receiving not only the Tech Tip Quiz golf shirt, but also the coffee mug and the hat and all the other things that go with it. And we really do appreciate you calling and answering an automotive question.
Thanks a lot. I don't think I've ever won anything before.
Fantastic. All right. And The number to call if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV is 706-863-5800, and we will answer those automotive questions. Some of the other things that we're doing is we are talking about the selling your vehicle.
Right.
And actually, we had one of the things that we had mentioned in a previous show had to do with if you were, many times people will look at their vehicle and they'll find little defects that need to be done.
Yeah.
And it might be a worn seat. It might be the paint faded on the hood.
Sure.
It might be
Could
that
be
it
something
needs
as simple
brakes.
as a cracked taillight.
Yeah. And what can happen is if someone, in order to get it all ready to sell, someone may get those little items fixed.
Yeah.
Well, it's possible if that person gets all of these items taken care of and repaired, they might love the vehicle again.
Yep.
And that's assuming that it does everything they need it to do.
Meets all their needs. That's right.
Yeah. So you do want, and of course you also have the decision to make is when you're selling a vehicle and you're looking for something, let's say that one don't necessarily do what you need it to do.
Right.
You need a different type vehicle, growing family or fewer family members.
Sure.
The kids may have grown up and gone and you don't need a minivan anymore, things like that. You may very well be faced with a decision on whether to go trade a vehicle in,
right,
or keep that vehicle and sell it yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, no doubt, if you're selling it yourself, in most cases you can get more money for it.
You can.
But that's assuming you have the maintenance records and you've kept the vehicle in good shape and you feel good about selling it to someone else.
Right.
And I'll mention this real quick just before we go to the calls. It's absolutely fine to sell a car with a defect there, but you do want to let the buyer know what those defects are. If you need front brakes, tell them, I need front brakes and I have a dent over here and I have this don't work right. This makes a loud noise. Yeah, the engine's got a misfire when you're going uphill. Tell them all the details, and as long as you let them know and you feel good about it, you're fine. Are we ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's go over to Danny.
Perfect. Danny, welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Good morning.
Hello there, and what can we help with today?
I have a 2002 F-150 Ford truck. It has a 4.6 liter in it. It's been a really great truck. The other morning I was going to work, and it just shut off. When I went to, cut it off and try to cut it back on, the motor will turn over, but the theft light is blinking very rapidly. It's just emitting a quick blink. And on the odometer actually went blank. Instead of showing like 160,000 miles, it actually shows little lines across the odometer reading. And other than that, it wouldn't crank back up.
Danny, you described it very well for us. When you first said it just shut off on you, I was thinking something along the fuel pump or something like that, kind of common on those trucks. But with you mentioning that the theft light is flashing very fast and there's little dashes in the odometer indicator, that means that the actual instrument cluster is seeing no communication from the PCM and many times other modules such as the GEM module, which is a fancy fuse box on that truck. When those dashes go across that odometer, it's looking for communication to see things like, are we supposed to be starting right now? Are we supposed to be running from other modules in the car? Just based on experience of working with those trucks, there's a lot of things that you'd want to check as far as the powers, the grounds, and the serial data going to the computer itself. But I can tell you again, just from experience, we've replaced a lot of computers on those trucks for that very same issue, same exact scenario you set. With that being said, of course, it's still a good idea to have all the diagnostic tests being performed because no doubt it can exhibit the same symptoms and be something like a connection or a loose ground. But quite a few of those trucks we've put computers or PCMs in there for that very same problem. Quick side note, that PCM does have to be programmed, and of course the keys have to be relearned into the security system. Do you have 2 keys for that vehicle?
Yes, sir. I do still have the 2 original keys for it.
Okay,
yes,
very
sir.
good. Yeah, because you actually have to have 2 keys when you replace the PCM to kind of reprogram that system. Many cases, vehicles with some age on them, people either lose a key or for whatever reason get rid of it, and then they have to purchase a key on top of that. So that's the reason I mentioned that. But I think the diagnostics would be money well spent again, because it could be something as simple as a ground wire. I would hope it'd be something that simple, but we have replaced a lot of the computers on those trucks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that information.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the call.
Danny, we
Yes, sir.
appreciate it very much. And another tip on having to do with when you're selling your vehicle. Now, of course, this thing almost kind of goes without saying, but it is a really good idea to go ahead and mention that. You want to wash and vacuum the car, and also consider having the car completely detailed.
Yeah.
When you do that, when people come to look at the car, they'll normally make up their mind whether they're going to buy that vehicle or not within the first few seconds.
Yeah.
Of when they look at it, and this is based on their very first look at the car.
I think even small things like that can dress the vehicle up, like you mentioned earlier, but like a set of WeatherTech floor mats. I think, like you said, if
That
it
is
was
true.
if the carpet had a little stain or a little rip, now no doubt, if you feel obligated to mention it. But the WeatherTechs just about cover the entire carpet. I personally really like those.
Yeah, and even that could go in the very rear part of let's say an SUV or something like that, a real good thing. But I guess all in all, what we're talking about is just good curb appeal for the vehicle, making sure that the vehicle has the curb appeal that you would be looking for. And of course, also that nice fresh smell when the person gets inside the vehicle.
The new car scent.
Yeah, the new car scent that you would have. So all of those things can make a huge difference when you're getting ready to sell that vehicle on there. Now, what's some of the other tips you have when someone's selling?
Oh, as far as selling, I think the best thing that you've mentioned so far is just being honest with the person that you're selling it to. A lot of people are in the used car market, and a lot of them know the common problems. Like, for instance, I think of diesels all the time. If I was buying a 6-liter diesel, I'd be looking for certain things, or if one was at a very good price, you could tell them, hey, this hasn't been bulletproofed, or it needs this item, this item, this item. And of course, you could buy it for a cheaper price, but you got to remember you got to put that money into it. So
we wouldn't have but a short period of time, but mention just real quickly what you mean by bulletproof on a diesel.
Well, that one was just one in particular. Some of the Ford 6-liters and some other issues have been repaired by bulletproofing them, and that's things like the head gaskets, putting studs in there, of course the new gaskets, and updating a lot of the oil cooler and EGR cooler.
And that actually makes the engine better than it was when it originally designed.
Yeah, I feel like it absolutely does, and it can, and of course, a lot of people want to put programmers on them. It can withstand that a little bit more, I would say.
And that's why they call it bulletproof.
Correct.
It gets away a lot of the problems. Okay, we're going to need to take a real quick break. And when we return, we'll talk more about things that you can do when you're selling your car. And we'll be answering automotive questions, all that, as soon as we return with the C&C Auto Show. We are back with you on the C&C Auto Show. If you post an online ad, you might want to get people trying to negotiate by email in doing that. And sometimes that can be good. The problem with this is they haven't even seen the car yet. And if you discount the price by email, then they may ask for another price reduction after they've actually looked at the vehicle. So
for
instead
of giving it away.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of trying to negotiate by email, just say, come and see the car first, and then we will discuss the price.
Right.
And a lot of times that can be better. Now, if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, you can give us a call. The number to call is 706-863-5800. And if you've heard a noise in your car and you're just wondering what that noise might be and you want an opinion on that, you can give us a call. We have some great calls during the show today. Of course, one of my favorite had to do with the transmission issue that the gentleman had, because as we were talking about that, I was reminded so many times where people they've come in and they thought they needed something really big.
Right.
and it turned out to be something much smaller.
Yeah,
than
and
they
even
expected.
no doubt you're talking about transmission, but even on the check engine light side of things, so many people come in and it had a lean code in there, so they replaced every O2 sensor on it, mass airflow sensor, air filter, the whole 9 yards, and it be something as simple as a vacuum line off of the cruise control actuator, or something very simple that would, of course set the same codes, but end up costing them a lot of money.
And all that ties in a lot with the part having to do with selling your vehicle. So many times people will hear a noise, or the vehicle have something wrong with it, that they'll think this is terrible. I'm gonna have to sell this car. I'm gonna get rid of it.
Right.
And they will just sell the vehicle. Well, somebody buys it, and then they determine that it's something very, very small wrong with the vehicle.
Buy,
And so so they got them a vehicle. You probably sold it at a reduced price because you thought something bad was
wrong with it. Yeah.
And they do a little something to it. So it's worth having the car diagnosed for two reasons. That way you can tell the buyer what is wrong with the car, and you won't have to guess. But secondly, you can make sure it's not something that you may want to have repaired and keep the car.
All right, you
ready
to go
for
to
some
phones?
calls?
Yeah, let's go over to John.
Let's do it. Hello, John. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the call. What can we help with?
87 GMC Cabela, 305 full barrel. Just bought it and had it tuned up, plugs, wires, set everything. And when you first take off, it bogs out. Got a new carburetor on it, but then it catches up and goes on. Is there the mechanics seem to think there was a computer in there that controlled it, but I don't know.
Oh, I remember that
system.
That system has a spark control computer, right? Am I wrong?
ESC, electronic spark
ESC.
controller.
Yeah, that was really a little bit of a different system, John. And I'm gonna mention what I remember on that part, and John Ryan probably want to add to that.
Yeah.
But actually, the computer more controlled the ignition timing of the vehicle than anything else. And there is a computer, and this is I'm hoping I'm getting the year model right. It's a little like a 6-inch long, 1-inch thick silver box, and it was considered a computer.
That's right.
At the time, and the distributor would send the signal from the pickup coil into that computer, and then it also would modify it and then send it back out.
Right.
And that person that you talked to is right. I mean, that would cause a terrible heavy bog.
I can tell you
system.
One way to kind of eliminate that, if that is the culprit or the issue, that spark controller, no doubt, of course, does just that. It controls spark, the timing, advances it, retards it. You can actually disconnect the actual spark control, and it should go back to base time. Now, no doubt, it's not going to have the performance it should and all that, but if the bog goes away, again,
it won't advance the timing, but
right.
You can at least tell if that's the trouble.
Yeah, you might get some detonation, at highway speeds and stuff like that, but if you disconnect it and it picks up and that issue is gone, chances are at least we're in the right area.
Yeah, and John, I'm gonna mention one other thing that this is from memory doing it, and I know I've done this on a few, but if I'm not mistaken, there was a way to put the year earlier control module in that car, and something to do with jumping a wire or something, and make it run off the old regular control module, as opposed to having the electronic spark timing. Now, I just about bet if you was to go to YouTube or something like that.
We actually had a call similar to this probably a year ago, and we did. You and I did the same thing. We went to Google, and there was article after article after article on how to do that.
Yeah. You can bypass that system. Matter of fact, I'm wondering if you can even buy that spark control computer anymore.
I know. You can now. No doubt, it's kind of probably a special order part, or you got to track one down. But
but you can use your.
Where is it located?
From what I remember, now that used to be under. Now see if I'm right, Aaron. That used to be under the kick panel of the right side or passenger side.
I remember it kind of being under the glove box, kind of behind the glove box.
Okay, yeah, that's
which
what I'm
would
saying.
Be very close. To
where your feet
mounted
go
up that way somewhere.
That's right.
I can almost picture it, John Ryan.
Can you?
I can.
Scary.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I know where that is.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it very much.
All right,
Well,
John. Hope that helps.
Good luck with that, John. We gave him 2 or 3 different
All right.
options.
Yeah.
The possibility of bypassing that spark control module
Right.
or getting a new module put on there,
That's correct.
which both methods would be good. And those were good, long-lasting trucks, but that was an issue with a lot of them.
Right.
And what they were doing then is they were doing a lot of experimenting with a lot of things back then.
Right.
They were still using a lot of the manual type stuff.
Yeah.
to
Well, the funny
control
thing is they
things.
had a lot of electronic components that were controlling mechanical parts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was kind of tricky. And it was the early stages of
And that's one of the things that
mastering
makes the cars now so much more exciting
Mhm.
because so many more things are controlled completely electronically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for instance, when you just one instance is you got the electronic throttle body. You don't
Right.
have a cable running to it. A long time ago, you used to have to cruise control with a cable running to it, and the cable would pull on the throttle body.
Right.
It would open it up, and that was your cruise control. Now the computer has 100 complete control.
Yeah.
100% complete control of that throttle body, and so your cruise control can be set there. And now that's making things like laser cruise because you already have cameras in the front of
Yep.
the vehicle.
Just tie everything
And
together.
so you can lock that cruise control, and the computer has 100% total control over the throttle. So if the car in front of you slows down,
and the
that
cameras
cruise
see
control,
it. Yep.
it can lower the throttle and slow you down and speed up. And just so many things, and of course your electronic braking
Yeah.
system tied in with it. Car pulls out in front of you, and it will automatically brake.
I
if
think
you're
they
not
had
looking.
you in mind when they designed that system.
They did, and I think that it was a good idea too.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day when I can just get in the car from work and be able to open my laptop and just.
Nah, I'm
just-
confused because you do that now. So what's the
Well, I do, but I mean it's not quite as safe.
Yeah.
But I'm
Corners
able to
are a
just-
little rough.
Yeah, but you're able to just get off work and punch the button, and your car comes around to pick you up, and you sit inside your car.
I don't think we're that far away from it. I
We
mean,
are not. It is.
think about entry on vehicles now. You walk up to it, you have the key fob in your pocket, the
Mhm.
door automatically unlocks.
Mhm.
You get in, you push a button, you don't have to put a key in.
Nope.
It starts. Electronic power steering, like you said, the cameras, the laser cruise, it's
Mhm.
right there.
And I love the hands-off steering. So many
Yeah.
cars now, you just sit in them and you can just set it on, and it goes around the corner for you and
Yep.
does all the different things. And so I believe that day will be here much sooner. As a matter of fact, there's no question there's cars
Well, it's
now
here,
that do
yeah.
that.
That's right.
But it is here, but it's going to be on a much higher scale very soon. Okay, we are out of time. We have to go, and we have arrived at the destination. But we will be taking off again very soon. I'm Aaron Clements with co-host John Ryan Mooney, and our show producers are Sherry Moxley, Zach Llewellyn, Bert Dean, Bo Roberts, Alan Dean, and Sandy Klein. We would all like to say thank you to all those that tuned in, logged in, and especially those that called in. And you can watch this show on Facebook, and we will see you again next time on the C&C Auto Show.